to Real Talk with me, Katie Brown. This is where we interview all different kinds of people. Game changers, trailblazers, all-round legends. And for today, I'm so pumped because this is raw and relevant, no editing, and there doesn't need to be any editing for this woman. Alicia Fistonich.
Fistonich. We nearly got there.
Oh, that's twice. Okay, we'll get there by the end. I know I'll have it down pat, but Alicia Fistonich.
Nailed it.
Her Raw CEO and founder. Wow. Cannot wait to get involved and talk about this exciting weekend that's coming up on the 2nd and 3rd of April. But first things first, we do a Fast Five. You ready?
I'm ready. Hit me.
You were born ready. I can feel it. Okay. What is your worst habit?
Oh, my goodness. Talking over the top of people. Or no, like getting off on tangents and not finishing things that actually, no, I haven't.
Here we go. There's a tangent. All right, stop. Okay, first kiss.
First kiss, I was 3 years old at kindy.
3 years old?
I was hiding behind the mat in kindy with a boy called Dean. He was my first boyfriend, and it was I was an early bloomer.
Wow, and you have a fantastic memory. Okay, gosh, you're answering these so quick I can't even get to the next one. Cheat meal.
Cheat meal, oh my goodness. I love a good burger, to be completely honest. I'm definitely a burger person. Brooklyn Depot.
Yeah.
Big fan of Brooklyn Depot. Grilled. My sons love grilled, so definitely a burger person.
Yeah. Chicken or beef? Or fish?
Beef.
Or? Yep.
Beef.
Okay.
Definitely beef.
Do you have a superstition?
Superstition? I don't think so, actually. Maybe I'll come back to that one.
Yeah, no, we don't come back to them.
Okay,
if you don't, that's fine.
Pass.
Pump up song.
Pump up song. Oh, anything heavy metal, like maybe Metallica. No, Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters. Love Foo Fighters.
Okay, I'm glad it's Foo Fighters and not heavy metal.
No, like not proper full. No, like Foo Fighters. I think any of those guys, like their songs, or My Chemical Romance, or Metallica. Like I have a bit of an eclectic taste. Foo Fighters is an old favorite though, for sure. I'm actually on a bit of an Imagine Dragons buzz at the moment.
Okay.
I think I've looped through their album probably about a dozen times just until I get sick of it. But yeah.
Good on you. You did that. I reckon you probably have won the competition for Fast Five so far in terms of being the fastest.
You put the pressure on when you said Fast Five, so I was expecting that we were going to be like bang, bang, bang.
So great. That was awesome. Now, the next piece of homework is one word that best describes you.
So I broke this homework. I'm so sorry, but it was what a crazy scientist. Mad scientist. There we go. I forgot. Mad scientist.
2 words.
2 words. I broke the homework.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's real. I can't get rid of that. That's fine. We'll go with mad scientist. Why?
Just because I tend to be a little bit of a crazy dreamer. I tend to like thinking big and thinking of doing things that are completely outside of the box. And if someone tells me I can't do things, I find a million different ways that I can do them. Like I'm so focused on finding ways to just do things. So I think, like most of my friends think that I'm probably a little impulsive and very crazy, and I tend to engage in things that most people just look at me and go, "You are insane for doing this." So that's why.
Alicia Fistonich.
Nailed it. Love it.
I will now call you the mad scientist. Okay.
I'm so picturing like one day I'm just going to get like a Back to the Future t-shirt, like a caricature of like the mad scientist off that one. I've totally lost his name because that is so me, just to a nutshell.
I love it. And you've even got the glasses. It's perfect. It's working a treat. We'll get into things, and I just want to point out that our podcast is partnered with Workplace Law. Shane and Athena, we love you, and we love that you're supporting everything that we believe in as well. And if you do need anybody to help you out, if you need sponsorship advice, or if you've got a contract that you want somebody to look over, maybe it's representation at a tribunal, they've got you covered. They're just here to really empower athletes, and I know you'll agree with them. I know that you'd probably really like them too, Alicia. Yeah, there's no gender on things, and we're going to get into that, but just all around great people, great human beings who are here to help. Workplacelaw.com.au. Now for you.
Brilliant.
Her Raw. What is Her Raw?
So Her Raw it's a really good question, and sometimes I actually struggle to articulate what it is because there's so many cool bits and pieces to it. But in a nutshell, it's an event where we're bringing together all different arms of women in sport, health and fitness under one event. So it runs for 2 days. We've got a range of strength sports with female-only competitors. So we've got powerlifting, so novice and invite. We've got strong women. We've got a kettlebell comp, and we've got bodybuilding for this one. So all up across the weekend at this stage, we have around 150 female athletes competing across the weekend, which is really, really cool. And so we have, and then we've also got a range of panel discussions where we're touching on some really good topics in regards to like breaking the bias of women in sport and body confidence and body image and, you know, what a female athlete looks like in quotation marks, you know, which is anything anyone wants to look like. mental health, period and hormonal health with a female athlete, like foot health, nutrition, like just all sorts of really, really cool topics. And we've also got some demonstrations as well where people can participate in doing like physical activations of what it takes to become a firefighter. Just all sorts of really cool bits and pieces.
Yeah, it sounds so awesome. And we got connected and I thought, how has this not happened before? Was that the market that clearly you've gone, we need to keep celebrating and we need to make this bigger and better?
Absolutely. I actually had the same thought when I thought about it. I was like, why does this not exist? This is amazing. But yeah, exactly. And it's just, I think it has, like, my long-term dream with this is to create an event where we bring together as many different female sports to compete under the one roof in the weekend. Maybe not under one roof, but compete within that weekend. And then, like, all these different athletes and all these different participation events and workouts and everything, where it's just all creating this massive event where women can come and try something. They can try a new sport, or they can learn about a new sport, or they can listen to an athlete, or they can listen to a female ref and her journey on how to get there, or they can learn about the career pathways that they have available to them, and then they can watch other women lifting heavy things, or they can watch other women doing another particular sport. Maybe it's tennis, and then maybe do a fun run or something like that. So it really is embracing all those different levels. So it's not just professional athletes. It's not just your everyday gym goer. It's really bringing them all together, because I think as a way to move forward as an industry, as a way to move forward collectively, it is going to require all of us, And although we're only one event on the calendar, I imagine the way that I see it is women will walk away after listening to some of these stories, because there is so much power in discussion in those settings, and be like, oh my God, cool. Like, maybe it's a woman in her 40s and 50s and her daughter is coming up to being a teenager, and realizing and reiterating the importance to her of her daughter's staying in sports or doing a physical activity, or, encouraging her younger sister or herself, like being able to be like, I'm going to do walking soccer because I want to go and I want to meet more women and I want to do something for my mental health. Maybe it's that, so that's kind of it in a bit of a nutshell.
No, I feel like that's really easy to understand. And I think for people who are going, okay, so when? 2nd and 3rd of April up here in Brisbane at South Bank.
Yep, so it's at the Edmund Rice Performing Arts Centre.
Yeah, and there's basically everything and anything. As a female or non-female,
Correct.
You can be whoever.
Absolutely.
Everyone is welcome, and it's more about informing, educating, having fun, and being inspired. Yeah?
Absolutely. Even down to we're hosting the world's first Masters Invitational Strongwoman event.
Cool.
Like, that's rad. Like, these women are amazingly strong, and they're it's really exciting. Like, some of the heavy things it's really cool.
It's okay. You don't have to wrap up. That's what we want. We want to talk about it.
Like, some of the weights these women are lifting are amazing. Like, we're getting tagged and things left, right, and center, and the quality of the strength athletes alone is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, these girls are and these women, catching my phrasing there, are benching, like 120 kilos. And they're squatting 200 kilos plus, or they're, some of the lifting they're doing for the deadlift medley for strong woman is just, it's just insane. And that is at a point now where should be really celebrated.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be hushed down in a corner. These women being strong is something that we should be championing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said, championing women. And I think it will get to a point where we may not need to just champion women.
Absolutely.
But at the moment, why is it so important that we do separate?
That's a really good question. So I think the first thing that springs to mind there is, statistically, the numbers of women who drop off in sport from the ages of 12 to 17 is huge. I think it's sitting around the 50% mark.
Yeah.
Like, it fluctuates a little bit, give or take, but it's around that mark. And that's huge. And that period of time where women are, we go through some really significant changes. I don't know what your experience was as a teenager, but, like, I didn't really have any healthy role models that I looked to. I had some pretty decent body image challenges at the time. I still participated in sports, but at that time it was horse riding. But I know a lot of friends of mine at that time, they didn't feel comfortable in their own skin. They had really poor mental health.
How's the shirt?
How good's that?
Comfortable in my skin.
I love it. But But there's so many things there as well. And then you see such a big increase in, in a lot of mental health battles that occur at that time. And being in an environment where we can encourage women to be comfortable in their own skin, to just play sport because they want to play sport, not because they're trying to impress someone down the road. Slight tangent here, but I saw a post again this morning on Facebook about a woman that I know. She was in the gym lifting weights, and she had a random gym girl come up to her. It was a guy. This is not man hating either, by the way. Love men. Men are amazing. Totally men. Welcome. Just a casual story to back this up. And he was talking to her about being in the gym and why she was lifting weights, and, that she was, she looked awesome. And he's like, oh, don't want to lift too many more weights because then you look too bulky and no man will want you. And it was exactly like that right there. Just harnesses so much that goes on still, like the comments that still get passed about women in these industries on so many different levels. And ultimately at the end of the day, it needs to be broken down so that we are doing these things for us. Yeah. Not for any man, not for any other woman, in that sort of relationship sense, a partner sense, not for anybody else, but us, and I think that alone is really, really empowering and really powerful. And to start to build out that community setting where we're starting to reach those younger women, we're starting to reach those older women who may have never had that, like mature age women, like myself. Kidding. Hardly. Where we're starting to target them and say, hey, it is okay for you to do this. It is okay for, to you to do those things. And then, see where we go, see where we land.
So really, her raw as well is such a great base for women, whichever gender, to come and feel comfortable in their own skin, but have healthy role models and show that not every body image is the same, no matter what sport you play, no matter what age you are, and feeling more comfortable and feeling more proud of who you are.
Absolutely. 100%. Like, I think you've summarized that really well. And I really do want to reiterate off the back of that as well, that although we have titled it Her Raw and it is aimed at women, we are so inclusive. So anyone who, it doesn't align with a gender, anyone who is transgender, anyone who is non-binary, anyone at all like that, they are so welcome. We have a lot of athletes, absolutely not going to name them. We have a lot of athletes who are attending who fit those categories in some way, shape or form. Love it. More the merrier. That's not the point. The point is essentially where we're creating an environment where wherever they sit, wherever they align with, that they can come and they can have fun and they can celebrate just everything, like all that sort of stuff.
Fun. Yeah, I'm Devo. I can't be there. But for everybody listening and watching, be there. And there will be another one, but we can get you on before that.
Absolutely.
Do we talk about the second one yet?
Yeah, no, we definitely can do.
Okay, well, it's November. Put it in your diary.
First weekend of November, we're going to be running so this is classified. We're doing this one as a launch one because, COVID and stuff. But we're doing one in November as well because we've had just so much positivity and so much positive feedback about what's going on in the event, and people that couldn't make this one because for a million different reasons, which I get, we've had a fairly tumultuous 2022 so far. So we're like, hey, why not? Let's just we'll just keep rolling with this and see where we land. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Who are some of the names who are going to be at this April one that may get people who are watching or listening really excited?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Whether they're competitors, ambassadors, yourself, you'll be there.
Yep,
your CEO and founder.
We have an amazing athlete who will be there. Her name is Janine. I'm having a terrible day for names today, but Janine is an ex-Paralympian. She won a medal with Taekwondo.
Yeah,
I believe it was a silver medal. I could be very wrong there, but she is a previous medalist for the Paralympics.
Yeah,
she is amazing. She's one of our ambassadors. She is an MS sufferer. She's doing one of our presentations on the Saturday night. We have an amazing woman who is the chair of the Lions board, Sarah Kelly.
Sarah Kelly
has been a massive supporter of what we've been doing. So she was the person who I met with her nearly a year ago.
Yeah.
And she was the person who introduced me to Ali and Millie and a couple of other incredible female athletes.
Yeah.
Who else? We have I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who we also.
Well, you'll have Ali Brigginshaw and Millie Boyle there.
Fingers crossed. It depends on where their footy game's going to be. Depends on whether it's going to be up here or whether it's going to be in Sydney. So if it's up here, they'll absolutely be able to come. But we just don't know. So it's just that one's a bit of a waiting game. But that's
sport.
okay.
This
sport,
is
right? That's totally fine. And we've just, I think ultimately, rather than names, I think we have like some of the strong women who, like, you can jump onto Instagram and see some of the women like that are going to be there in that regard, and the competitors. But from and we've also, actually, I'll jump to another topic there. So
I love this. Mad scientist coming into effect. Let's go. She's bouncing.
We have, so at the moment we're still confirming, but it looks really likely that we'll have some really incredible women coming through from the AFLW team from the Suns, as well as from the Lions. We've also got a couple of athletes. So we have an athlete that's coming through who's a player for the Broncos. She's also a Defence Force individual.
Robinson?
It is Julie, yes.
Hey,
So,
like
good.
trivia.
Yeah.
Let me guess.
So she's on board as well. So we're doing a podcast with her really shortly. So there's a really good mix of athletes there as well that are coming through. So there's some incredible women.
What's your podcast?
My podcast is Hear Her Roar.
Hear Her Roar. Okay, there you go. Hear Her Roar. Listen to the podcast as well. Leave it a 5-star rating and review also.
I love the plug. Thank you.
That's okay. Anytime. Let's peel a layer back and just ask about you.
Ready.
And who are you outside of Her Roar and why did you want to get it going?
I'm a mad scientist, didn't we? No, I'm kidding.
Your journey to be here.
Look, it's been a little bit of an interesting one. So I guess one of the things I feel that is important to share straight off the bat is I'm a mum. So I have 2 boys. They are 7.5 and recently turned 5. They are incredibly full on, but I do love them. They've been a really big, one of the reasons I mention that is because they've been a really big component in shaping my life and what I've addressed and what has, I guess, become a priority for me. Prior to them, I was probably a little bit, less focused. We'll just put it that way. I think, who am I? So I am just a female who I've had some pretty long exposure within sport and fitness industry. I am very pro supporting other women. I love seeing other women succeed and do really well. I genuinely love it. Like I will cheerlead at anybody who is trying to do their best, you know? Yeah. But I think what kind of triggered all this off for me was I was about 19 and I was still in Auckland and I was training at a gym, like an all-female gym. And we were doing a boxing class out just in the mall one day. And there was a woman who had just joined, and she was a older woman. She was a larger female, so she was carrying a bit of a weight, and she was, like, in her own words, she was overweight, she was unhealthy and unfit, and she wanted to do something to make herself feel better, you know. And we were doing boxing, and one of the exercises was push-ups. And she sat there, and she's like, in her mind, she was so written off by the fact that she couldn't do a push-up. Like, it just couldn't occur to her to try because it was just never going to happen in her head. Wow. And it was just, you could see it on her face. She was done. She was checked out. She was a failure. It was never going to happen. And I just said to her, I was like, I'll do it with you. Like, just get on your knees. We'll just do like a tiny little bit because it's starting something.
Yeah.
And she did it. And I legitimately the look on her face and the confidence that she got out of doing that kind of, it has sat with me like for this whole time and has reiterated to me so many times that with women and I do think men to an extent as well, but for us more so, sometimes we need to just be shown that we can do something or given permission to do something or, you know, be like, it's okay to do this or to look like this or to be like this. You know, not everybody, but a general, I mean, I do at times, you know, sometimes I feel like I need to be like, you know what, it is okay to do X, Y, Z. It is okay to do this. It is okay to do that. It is okay to not be that way as well. You know, it is okay to be outspoken. It is okay to be loud. It is okay to be confident. You are not too much. You are not too loud for somebody. You are none of that. You are you, and that is okay. And I think sometimes having those conversations and having that put in front of you is really, really powerful. And as a community, being able to have those conversations to see, you know, you get 50 women sitting in an audience listening to the story of someone who has come up and fought to be where they are, and they go like, holy, like, can I swear? Like,
go.
Like, holy shit, I can do this too. I wasn't going to go full blown, but it's like, holy shit, like I can do this too. You know, like, oh my God, like, wow, like this is actually possible. And I think like that's really, it took a few pushes from the universe, some really aggressive pushes before I kind of made the leap. But I just started off as a personal trainer. I quit my job. I actually got fired when I was pregnant. Other story, but totally, a totally unrelated story. I was working for a recruitment agency. They found out I was pregnant and they fired me. I was still in my probation, so there's nothing I could do about it.
Oh,
so,
my God.
Yeah, I know. That's a whole other story. But
okay.
so
away from that. So you quit to then be, or you got fired to then you followed your dream of being a PT?
I eventually did. Like once I pregnant, had my first son, and then I was like, I'm not going back to corporate. I don't want to do this anymore. And I went into being a PT, and I just kind of fell into bits and pieces from there, I guess. So
and now you're starting this huge exhibition event, like
insane. Hey.
It is, but now I've met you in person, I am not surprised.
I get it a lot. I don't know why.
But so great. Like, everybody needs somebody like you to really kickstart. And I think that you're happy to have the weight of the world on your shoulders right now. It must be daunting. It must be confronting and scary that you've just gone and organised this event.
Yeah,
and
look,
it takes a lot of money.
Yeah.
And time.
It's been, look, I'm not going to lie, the last few weeks as well, I said to my best friend the other day, if my partner doesn't I'm not going to joke. If he doesn't get ultimately really frustrated with me by the time the event gets here, I am not doing my job properly because it's a case of it is so important to me, like even as a first event, it is so important to me that we are running a really good event for the women who are competing, for the people who are attending, for the people who are participating in what we're doing, because this is not about me. This is much bigger than me. I can't even explain, in the early stages and just the things we've had to go through to get this event happening. The amount of times I will float the idea in my head about, fuck it, I'm just going to quit. I'm done. I'm walking away. I can't do it. It is tied to me. Like I said to Stuart the other day, I was like, this is a child. This is one of my children, because it has just become, like I said, it's just big. I can't even, and I probably sound really woo-woo saying this, but it is bigger than me. I can't walk away from that. I don't want to walk away from it. I love it. But it is bigger than me. This whole thing that is happening, it is for that little girl who is 7 years old and now knows that she can go and play AFL, and in 15 years' time, she doesn't have to do something on the side and rely on all of these different part-time jobs just to follow her dream, and that right there is, so it is really, it's really stressful. I've learned in the last couple of weeks I'm actually a really dramatic person.
Really? No, I'm kidding. You haven't given off those vibes.
No, just in regards to certain things, and I think sometimes when people don't get it and they don't work at the level I need them to, it's hard to be like, okay, this is okay, just it's fine. We can always learn, Yeah. So it's it's definitely stressful.
Yeah. You know what,
it's been a
though?
ride.
It's going to be just as rewarding, and it'll be so incredible, and you'll probably have a moment where I hope you realise what you are doing, because there'll be so many people who thank you. There'll be so many people who probably don't thank you, but you're not doing it for that, and I can tell you're doing it for everyone else, but it's your baby because you're proud that you're helping this. You're moving. It's a movement. It's a movement. So for that, you should give yourself a pat on the back and know that Real Talk is completely and utterly supportive of it, and
thank you.
and really proud of you.
Oh, thank you. That is really kind.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that, because I think it is really easy to get caught up in all the little things that you need to do and the little steps you need to take. And then you say things like that, and I just think, shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I get random messages from one of the competitors the other day and about her athlete code, and she sent me an email and she's like, there's so much buzz around this. I hope you realize how cool this is. And I was just like, damn, that's really cool.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but we know it's going to be awesome.
Get there.
And it's just great that even the idea has gained so much momentum and so much interest. Is there anything else that you would like to get out there to the world before we can celebrate this event?
I think I just want to say, we've touched on it a few times, but just the importance that it's not just for women.
Yeah.
I got asked this question earlier today about, what role, as an example, men can play with this. And men are, those who champion what we do and support what we do, their voices at this point are still sometimes more easily heard and more easily listened to than ours are in some situations. And I think having men coming through and supporting what we're doing and championing what we're doing and, helping us drive what we're doing is also a really, really key part to this. Although it's titled that it's a female event, in reality, it's about attracting everyone to come along so that we can all collectively celebrate and support all of these women. So I just want to really reiterate that this is not a bra burning event. This is an event where everyone is absolutely welcome. It's just for those who are moving towards the same goal.
Alicia Fistonich. I appreciate you, aka the mad scientist. It has been awesome. The time I'm going, wow, we are wrapping this up. But appreciate you, appreciate everything you've done. And we also appreciate Workplace Law, because without Shane and Athena and the team, we can't get this podcast done. Leave a rate and review. And if you do need a hand with anything, contract, sponsorship, representation, maybe we can get them on board, and maybe there could be a New South Wales event here. But in all seriousness, they're just here to empower athletes and empower people, which really aligns with Her Raw. So rate, review, 5 stars always. And Hear Her Raw is the podcast that you need to get around. If you want any more information, you can go to her-raw.com. That is the website. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Bye.